Eridium has always been extremely valuable in the Borderlands franchise, and Borderlands 4 is no different. From Moxxi's big Encore to respecing your specialization, there are so many reasons why you'll want to stockpile as much Eridium as possible. Luckily, there's one method that stands out as the easiest and most efficient way to farm it, and you're definitely going to want to take full advantage of it. Obviously, there are a few ways to obtain Eridium, and honestly, only one of them is going to be worth focusing on as of right now at least, and that's going to be the bounties. Now, both the vile and normal bounties are absolutely the best ways to stack up on Eridium quickly. Now, I wouldn't suggest you do the other contracts like the acquires or the patrols or anything like that, but I obviously suggest you do both the vile and the normal bounties, and I'll tell you why right now. And again, you could do the normal ones, they're completely fine, they just won't give you as much. So now, normal bounties are super fast, they're extremely easy, and they could be done at any level. And also, not to mention, you don't need UVHM to unlock it. You can knock them out in seconds, and again, you don't need to be in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode. You could just grab it, go there, done. And also, the normal bounties have a significantly higher chance to spawn in rather than the vile bounties. Obviously, the vile bounties are better, but I think maybe we should put a little bit respect on the normal bounties. Now, they'll usually give you 150 to 300 Eridium depending on your difficulty, and they're pretty much almost always available on the Safe House quest boards. You could chain them back to back while farming XP. If you're short on Eridium, this is the quickest pit stop that you can make to guarantee that you get a little bit of Eridium. Again, 150 to 300 Eridium depending on what level you are and then what level your UVHM is also. The lower your UVHM or the lower your level, the less rewards that you'll get in terms of Eridium and everything. And then obviously at the max level of 50 and then UVHM 5, I believe that they'll grant around 300 Eridium per run, which is nice considering that you could do it into 30 seconds. But like I said, vile bounties are obviously much better and they're a little bit more rewarding. Like I said, vile bounties are going to be more rewarding in terms of how much Eridium you get, but they are a little bit more difficult, and they only spawn in UVHM. So you have to have completed the game, and you also need to be on UVHM at least the first level. You could go all the way up to 5. Again, the higher your UVHM and the higher level you are, the more rewards you will get in terms of Eridium. That's how you maximize it. So this obviously, they feature a stronger vile target instead of just a normal bounty, so you will have to deal with the whole entire Eridium crystal thing and everything like that. They take a little bit longer, but the rewards scale much higher. Now, with the vile bounties, you could soar anywhere from 200 to 500 Eridium, depending on your UVHM level, again, like I said. So, for example, in my run at around level 40, I was consistently pulling over 200 Eridium per bounty. And obviously, since they're in UVHM and they are a little bit harder to obtain than the normal bounties, they're not a guaranteed spawn, so you may have to jump around from safe house to safe house to safe house just to find one vile bounty, or you may spawn into a safe house and you may have 2 vile bounties on the board and then 1 normal bounty. If you do in that case, obviously you're extremely lucky, but not everyone has that same luck. I have gone literally to pretty much every single safe house and only walked away with 2 vile bounties and the rest of them were normal. That's why I'm saying to just grab all of the bounties that you possibly can, whether it's a vile bounty or a normal bounty. Doesn't really matter. They give a pretty similar amount of Eridium, and again, they both only take, like, the normal bounties will take 35 seconds, and the vile bounties will take 60 seconds. So really, you're doubling your rewards for an extra 30 seconds of work. They're not that difficult, and if you're grinding levels anyway, this is by far the best way to get Eridium. Every player will have to become pretty accustomed to using these bounty boards for the actual bounties and everything like that, so I highly suggest you do it on your grind to level 50, and you'll stack up a significant amount of Eridium. So my personal strategy is I start all the way down in the far lands and everything like that, right over by Splash Zone at the first safe house that you're able to capture, and then I grab either a bounty or a vile bounty. I recommend grabbing 5 at a time, clearing them, then grabbing a number 5. If you run out, just save and quit. Don't sleep on the normal bounties either. Like I said, they only take 30 seconds, and even if they only give you 150 Eridium at whatever level you are, that adds up fast, considering that you'll have to do like 2 hours, 3 hours of either farming the drill sites or a couple hours of farming these bounties. You might as well do the bounties, vile or not, just so then you can keep the iridium running, because if you're only doing the vile bounties, what I found is you're actually negating or lowering how much iridium you're gaining per minute, because you have to save quit, you have to go to more safe houses, and you're not just able to go area by area. So again, what I like to do is I like to grab a couple of them in an area, sometimes 5 at a time, and then I just like to clear them out, grab another 5. But again, you could just stick to the area. So if you go to the bottom portion of the map, if you wanted to do the 3 safe houses and the actual 1 town that's in the far lands down in the bottom of the map, do all those, get those out of the way, then move over to the Snowy Mountain safe house and then work your way down from there and everything like that. That also is a great way to do it. Just whatever you do, make sure you're going to all of your towns and all of your safe houses, so then you can look on the bounty board, see if you have a regular bounty or a vile bounty, and then once you've done all of them, just save quit and then load back into another safe house, rinse and repeat. And then again, by the time that you hit level 50, I guarantee you will have around 20,000, well over 10,000 iridium, and then you'll be able to farm as much of the Moxxi's Bing Encore machines as you want. But obviously, there are some other ways to get the iridium, more passive ways that you should definitely take advantage of if you don't want to sit there and farm iridium all day. There are obviously other ways that you could get it while just playing the game that you're going to want to take advantage of. So in terms of other ways of getting iridium, like I said, the bounties are the best way, hands down. However, there are a few other ways to snag iridium on the side, so keep an eye out for other contracts. If you like, the patrols are okay, but the acquire contracts aren't worth your time, like I said. So if you have a couple of patrols and you're not finding any of the bounties or the vile bounties, instead of just save quitting and wasting that entire run, you might as well do a patrol or two. They give similar amounts of iridium, they just take a little bit longer. Obviously, up next after that, we are going to talk about the challenges, and it's just not like the UVHM specific challenges, but just like the random challenges, like the whole entire, loot 1,000 red chests. Those also give iridium. So if you're in a tight pinch for iridium, do yourself a favor and just like farm up Splash Zone a little bit, pick up all the gear and sell it, and you'll knock out a few like vending challenges and everything, and those do actually give you iridium. Again, you could get an easy, anywhere from 5 to 7,000 iridium from challenges if you're really grinding them out. Again, if you're switching up your weapons, or if you're using the bod shotgun to go ahead and count for multiple different weapons and everything, there are ways to complete those challenges really fast. I'll make another video on that. But getting weapon specific kills or looting red chests a certain amount of times, those will also give you iridium. It's not super efficient, again, especially compared to the bounties, but it's super passive iridium income, which you don't want to toss your head at. Again, not the most in the entire world, but you will get a couple of thousand from just doing these challenges naturally. And if you are close to them, like check on the challenges tab in the main menu and everything. If you're close to them, you might as well just go for it and try and complete it and get, a couple of hundred iridium for, selling 1,000 blue weapons or something like that. If you have 800 sold, maybe just focus on it for a minute. And then finally, if you haven't finished the main story yet, you'll earn thousands of iridium just by progressing. Some harder side quests can also reward purple iridium, so keep an eye out for both of those. Get through the main story, you'll probably have like 5,000 iridium saved up or something by the time you complete all the story missions, and then go after some side quests. Again, it's an easy way to get more iridium. Just make sure that the quest reward actually gives you iridium, because there are some side quests that only give you cash and XP or a weapon or something like that. But there are some more difficult side quests, and by difficult I just mean slightly longer side quests that actually do give you a decent amount of iridium, like per completing it. You'll get like 100 for completing the mission or something. Like, I believe Vend of the Line actually gives you a purple iridium reward, so that will just give you, I think, like a couple hundred iridium and everything like that. So quests like that you could easily bang out and do. Vend of the Line, bad example. I don't suggest you do that until level 50, because it will give you a legendary, but I do suggest that you go out and complete as many side quests as you can. If you're not doing them, you definitely are limiting your iridium game in the long run. I could promise you that. But that's really the main ways of getting iridium. The contracts, challenges, missions, and then obviously you're going to be mainly farming the bounties. It's overall the best way to get iridium. Now, I do know that there is like that Underdome situation, but you will have to grind pretty far into it to get some decent iridium rewards, and I wouldn't say that that's necessarily the fastest way to get Iridium. These contracts, again, you could probably get 10,000 Iridium through these contracts in like less than an hour, so it's not really the most difficult thing to do in the entire world. 500 Iridium every 30 seconds, even figuring loading screens and everything like that. If you farm it for an hour or two, you'll probably be set on Iridium for a very long time. Again, like I mentioned in the intro, if you don't know, Iridium's super important because you could farm the Moxxi's Big Encore, which changes every single week, and it's basically a guaranteed legendary drop from whatever boss you're farming that week, or whatever boss is the Moxxi's Big Encore. That will cost 100 Iridium per fight and everything like that, so it's not too difficult. Again, it can go up in price and everything, so you're going to want to stay stacked on top of Eridium. And then obviously respecking your specialization is a super endgame thing, but it is very, very costly. 5,000 Eridium to respec your specialization. So if you don't want to have a very costly mistake, either make sure you pay attention to your specialization as you're leveling it up, or make sure you have a bunch of Eridium on deck. So go out there and farm those vile bounties. Plus, again, it's the best way to like level up in the entire game. It's better than farming drill sites, so you might as well just do this from level 30 to 50. You'll have the 20 levels, and then you'll also have a bunch of Eridium. But there we have it, ladies and gents of the Borderlands. We've made it to the end of another Borderlands 4 video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you found it useful. Apparently bounties are the most useful thing in the entirety of this game. If you're leveling up to hit max level, make sure you just do this method and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Like I said, if you do this, you'll stack up easily over 10,000 Eridium before level 50, which is always a nice thing to have. And then you could just grind it out through the Underdome thing, or you could just get more Eridium from bounties or challenges. I promise you, do this method from level 30 to 50, or even just do it for an hour or two, and you won't have any more Eridium problems for probably the rest of your time playing Borderlands until they add a more efficient farm. But as always, I appreciate you motherfuckers for watching this motherfucking video, and I will see you out there in the Borderlands.